Peace. Peace. Happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Right now. Spoiler alert. If you haven't watched the movie on Netflix called Titan, you know, I'm gonna be speaking on some of the aspects from that movie. So spoiler alert, spoiler alert. But also speaking of the movie Titan, and also dealing with population control, and also referencing a certain situation. Uh, I got an old video called, I think it's No Salary Cap on Resources, but it had salary cap in the name. If you go look it up, there's no salary cap on resources. And I was speaking to, again, how the government act like, just like a basketball team has a quote unquote salary cap. So that means they could only spend so much money. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, we can't just buy any player because, we got a salary cap and I can only, spend this much money. Because a cap, basic salary, money. Cap meaning capping the salary. Like, got to put putting a ceiling on it, instead of letting it be just like, kind of like somewhat, those of you, again, referencing sports, familiar with baseball and the way they just kind of just throw that money out there, or soccer, where it's almost like it's no salary cap. Like, that's some of the richest athletes, as far as having revenue, is through those sports. But again, just like sports, and that's why I had to, like I said, just like had to, but why I fell back from, watching ESPN a lot and just, being in the sports. Like, the most I could do at this point is just watch the game. Like, so if there's a certain game on, football, basketball, I could check it out. And even now, like, my Pioneer is so open, you know, on a level, and not saying I don't know either to school, but just because you don't want to be like on no Bible, like, well, my Pioneer is so open, I'm so great, But at the same time, like the Bruce Lee quote, if I tell you that I'm, not good, well, in so many words, if I tell you that I'm not good, I'd be lying, you know. And if I wait, and if I tell you how good I was, you would think I'd be bragging. But it is what it is. But again, like with when you start to open your third eye, all these different little undertone messages that they be throwing out there is more obvious to you when you're more awakened. And I think about, again, like watching a game, and they'll be saying certain stuff. So like I think of one little aspect in a game, because they still got the slavery vibe going on in most sports. It's nothing but the elder European white man on, with all the money on, just like the master of a plantation, you know, owning the team, owning the plantation. And yup, the slaves, I let this, you could come sleep in my house. You might not be able to sleep with my daughter, but you could come sleep in the house. You know, you could get some of the, what you think is money. That's another thing too. Why, the LeBrons and all this got all this money. The owners of those teams and the people, over the, who those owners deal with. The Jerry Jones and the what's his name, Kraft, the Patriots. They got this bread. But speaking to, again, just eyes open, and they had a situation where Brethren celebrated after a touchdown. Matter of fact, he did the same celebration. It was a Saints game. Matter of fact, he did the same celebration as Joe Horn. And I know I'm for those of y'all not familiar with sports, but long story short, it was like a little celebration where he went and had like a fake cell phone under the goal post and calling out. And I realized how much the NFL and just the world constantly does this to us as melanated people. But it's like, us being us is offensive. Like we normally talk loud and, express ourselves, damn boy, this, that, all that, and that's considered something like, oh, wait, tone it down, or you know. this and that. Like, you know, like our just us being us becomes offensive because, say, for instance, like, well, when the brethren celebrating, and the people scored the touchdown. You know, the game. You know, the game wasn't like in jeopardy or anything like that. Brethren score and do his celebration. Of course, it's a penalty because, again, even starting from there, the system don't even want you dancing. You know, just kind of like how the league came down on AI with the way it was dressing. You know, AI, you know, be himself. Again, the system against us being ourselves. You know, like, what type of shit is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't be who I truly am. You know, and again, you start to see that it's a system. You know, because slaves are not allowed to be who they truly are. You know, they kind of got to go with the lines of what the slave masters say. You know, and again, there is a balance. I'm not knocking, you know, getting your little chips and coins, you know, because you know, you could use that revenue in a beneficial way. So, you know, it ain't nothing knocking going to get your coins, you know, from that type of system. But again, you know, they constantly trying to, you know, stop you from being you. So again, with the celebration situation, the brethren celebrating, and the commentator, you know, the people who commentate, you know, and so just scored, or that was a first down, this and that. Like, they were constantly harping on all that. Well, you know, and I think about the story of the Zen story, where you know, it talks about holding on to something in the past. So long story short, he just keep like the commentator like, oh, that could have lost the team the game and this and that, like just harping on it as if to be like, boy, you slave boy, you should be ashamed of yourself for being yourself. Stop that craziness and stop that buffoon. Like, society subconsciously and social engineers a situation that frowns upon melanated people being themselves. You know, like, we like to dance, we like to, you know, so it's like we like to dress, you know. Think about the Moors. The Moors was known for being able to like they switch up their clothes in different seasons, stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? And of course that was more us going into a fallen place of being more in our human nature, you know, compared to like, you know, ancient Lemuria, Atlantis and stuff like that. But even though we was falling from way back, you know, when, you know, that's why the Kemetic ancestors, aka the Egyptian ancestors, was leaving these hieroglyphics and signs, you know, with the flower of life, you know, and certain hieroglyphs, and, you know, showing the wheels representing the chakras, and, you know, the heart weighing heavier than the feather. All this information was left like to let y'all know, like, hey, we forgetting shit. We're gonna leave this shit here, cause eventually y'all gonna wake y'all ass up, and y'all gonna need these little sticky notes we left for y'all, you know. In that sense. But so again, with that sports situation, they just like bash them as if a bad slave, like, you're not supposed to dance. And what it's doing, as people watching that, as little kids watching that, they being programmed with, you know, like, it's bad to, especially little melanated children, you know, that again, being ourselves, we damn, that's our culture, that's what we are, you know what I'm saying? And not to get locked down on the human level of like, oh, you know, I'm all like, we are God on the human experience. So as much as I say culture, you know, the culture of our experience, you know, as being humans, you know what I'm saying? We have certain things that we do and certain ways we operate, you know what I'm saying? But it's also not to get locked in that as well, you know. But again, it's like a war on, you know, us being us and the little kids watching, people watching, and then that creates that vibe. You ever, like, say for instance, so watching that game, and then you'll hear people like, you know, like that commentator is creating a type of mob vibe, you know, like, let's go get Frankenstein. All right, yeah, let's go get him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they're doing. Like, look at him. You know, he almost cost the team the game. You know, get him. You know what I'm saying? Like, indirectly, that was the subconscious vibe he was creating by constantly harping. Here it is, they like almost on the other play, like, and you know how the game then got to like they even kicked the ball off, did all kind of other plays, and this brethren still trying to You know, but that celebration could have cost them. It could have, motherfucker, but it didn't. Shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and but that be those types of vibes that they be, you know, again playing with. So again, you know, just like with the population control situation, like, you know, same thing. Again, as above, so below. The way they're trying to do on a big scale to the whole world is the way they treat all the other little subdivisions of things that they do. So, you know, in sports, it's like, well, you know, uh, LeBron might have to take a pay cut, you know, and then the news, the media, who's in cahoots with the people who own these teams, it's like, yeah, LeBron, you know, he's not a team player if he doesn't, you know, allow his revenue to go down right now. You know, well, why the owner who owns millions? He the one that's his fucking team. Why don't he take a salary cut? You know, he could sell a yacht or two to get another player. It's his team. If that's what he wants, then it shouldn't be up to the players. He is responsible, isn't he? He's the owner. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's selective ownership of you know, being responsible for certain things. You know, it's like, you know, they push these certain responsibilities onto the players and make it seem like it's the players' responsibility. When in essence, you know, again, with the true vibe of what really makes sense, the motherfucker who has all the money should be the one to sacrifice himself. If that's what he want. If not, then stop belly aching and play ball. God damn it. You know, if you're not the one coming out the pocket, you know, again, you got a house that could house over 100 people, and only you and your wife and a few people staying in it. Like, you know, you could downsize. It won't hurt you. You know, because again, we talking about necessity. Like, of course, we're not trying to take no enjoy your life, you know what I'm saying? It is about enjoying life. But these people got the type of money where, you know, if they took a little pay cut, you know, that wouldn't stop them from being able to buy food to eat. That wouldn't stop them from being able to travel the world. You know, again, they got people who do it, you know, that don't even own teams and stuff like that, that's out here enjoying life. So, you know, don't give me that bull crap as if like, well, you know, let one of my players, you know, use their money. You know, that's the whole vibe. And again, oh, well, you know, like making it seem like resource, oh, like, well, we don't have enough of money. Somebody has to take a pay cut. So take that same little euphemistic phrase or that little vibe and put it into what's going on right now as far as like, oh, well, we ain't got enough of resources and money, so we're going to have to take a pay cut, aka, but the pay cut is killing people. Like, we're going to have to, you know, depopulate this world because we don't have enough of resources. So we're going to leave it up to y'all to depopulate yourselves, or we're going to depopulate y'all. Instead of us, you know, doing what we got to do on our level, no, we're going to harm you to get this the status quo of what we're talking about. But again, it's all fake. You know, they know they're using up the resources. J.P. Morgan and the Rockefeller, you know, family company, they knew what Nikola Tesla was doing with free energy. They saw that's the reason why, you know, we got some of that free energy to a certain extent, you know, with the cell phone, stuff like that. Like, all right, we're going to use some of this technology, but we still going to put a price on it. You know, J.P. Morgan went go fuck up his work. If that ain't the laboratory that got fucked up in, you know, because he had a place in, I want to say somewhere in Colorado Springs somewhere. But again, these people know of the type of resources that we could use that wouldn't harm, you know, the planet. You know, they know these things exist, but they're acting like, oh, I don't know, we just need this all, and, you know, and we're lacking resources, so we're gonna soon have to do this and soon have to do that. Again, creating this illusion. And they've had this stone, I forgot what the Georgia stones, if I'm not mistaken. These stones built where they actually saying like we trying to depopulate y'all. Again, subconscious programming. You know, it would be hard for me to believe that you're not trying to program it when all of y'all upper echelon scholars, you know, y'all go to Harvard and all these big time schools. So how in the fuck you wouldn't know about the subconscious mind and how to program it? So when we look at the government trying to present these things to us, but then acting like, you know, like throwing a stone and hiding their hand, like, oh, well, you know, that's just, that stone is just there. Like, get the fuck out of here. You know how subconscious programming works. Y'all study the fuck out of it. You know, you reference the people who study the fuck out of it. You know, Carl Jung, Aldous Huxley, you know, he was great. Aleister Crowley, this and that, you know. You study the fuck out of the situation, but then act so oblivious to it, you know. Wow, you know. And again, this is something we gotta put on blast. You know, any of us get little opportunities to be on, you know, little shows that might radio shows or something that, you know, get out of. We need to put this shit, you know, this is what needs to be spoken on. You know, because again, it's, you know, ridiculousness, and it's our conscious light that, you know, that helps to stop it. But again, people with enough money to buy everybody a house is talking about there are not enough resources. You know, people could buy everybody in this world a fucking house and have a piece of land, you know. Again, money is energy, so when I say buy, it shouldn't even have to be buy in the first place. Because even down to in this country, I realize, you know, matter of fact, shout out to my brother Brad for bringing this up to me. You know, you necessarily can't even really own a house in America to a certain extent. Because when you have a crib now, of course, if we, you know, I'm pretty sure if we claim our sovereignty or dealing with our Moorish rights in some way, you know, we could have a situation that's almost like a reservation in essence. I'm not sure, but some just, you know, but, you know, here it is where once you own some property, instead of you just pay outright and I own this, you have to continuously pay what is called a property tax. And if you don't continuously pay that property tax, the property that you own could be seized by the government. So do you really own that property? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, again, the types of games they play. But again, these are the people who could buy everybody a house, but then complaining about, well, you know, we don't have enough resources, you know, while they trafficking, you know, melanated people for their organs and stuff like that. No, we don't have this, we don't have that. That's why one of them Rockefellers, I forgot which one it was, but he looked like he was dead the whole last years of his life. It looked like he was, and when somebody said he was, I think there was things saying he was on his like 9th heart transplant or some shit like that. I'm like, bruh, like he reminded me of like he looked like he like to keep going. Like if y'all familiar with Hellboy, they had like this brethren who was kind of like immortal to a certain extent, but he was like a bag of sand in that sense, but with consciousness in it. And they would have to like turn his little knob for him to kind of like, you know, almost like a little, I think about them little watches, they had a classic little watch where if you just shake it up, like it didn't really need batteries, you just shake it up and it just, like, you know, it winds it up and it starts to work. That seemed like how that Rockefeller brethren, like they'll wind them up and then have them go out, like, but he was basically like walking dead. You know. But this whole situation with population control, you know, is what they constantly promote. In all ways, in all situations, making everything seem like it's so scarce. Like we can't do this, we can't do that. It's so scarce. You know, with the Titan, the movie Titan, it starts off, you know, with the matter of fact, let me see, I might have some notes in there too. I know it's in my other tablet. But it starts off, matter of fact, the name Titan, so I read it, excuse me, they keying in on that energy of Kronos and Saturn, and to a certain extent, the great old ones, dealing from H.P. Lovecraft work. But, you know, it starts off, matter of fact, where the brethren on his phone, and it's like, matter of fact, hitting close to home in that sense, you know, close to my second home, as far as like in California, you know, the forest fires, and this is a movie that recently dropped on, you know, it's a couple of months old at the most, you know, on Netflix, this movie Titan. And so again, it starts off with, there's flooding in Venice Beach and this and that, and wildfires in California, this and that. So right there, and that's on that movie while these California wildfires are going on. You know, and don't forget about I don't want to think the company name is DARPA. Don't quote me, but the government has this basically like James Bond type of business as far as like dealing with technology. You know how James Bond had somebody, matter of fact, even on that type of vibe, like on Black Panther, where Black Panther's sister was all into the technology and stuff like that, and could create all these different little gadgets. But the government has this type of platform. And matter of fact, again, when you got the fact that they was dealing with knowledge of what Nikola Tesla was channeling down, way back when, they've been working on laser technology and stuff like that. I mean, sound frequency, when concentrated enough, could move things. And Michael Tellinger showed, not Michael Tellinger, yeah, Michael Tellinger showed how vibrations could cause a sphere to float in orbit and spin. Not saying we living on a globe or anything, but yay or nay, just speaking to that situation. But again, they was fear mongering that, bringing up the situation with California. This happened, and as they said that in the movie, again, I could just only go off of intuition. Again, they trying to move stuff around in California and do some things. Usually when they, like, say with them houses burning, they're trying to implement something in the place of that. Whether it's some type of businesses. I also heard they, is in the area that they kind of wanted to run this speed train from LA to San Francisco. So again, they, that's the way they do these things. But again, at the beginning of the movie Titan, they speaking on California, going down and this and that. But basically, it's two things they hinting towards. It has this strong X-Files vibe, and it has that vibe of like, it's trying to program like soldiers to be down to do whatever for their country, and they had a brethren who at the beginning like a mad scientist, like that's, we gonna go to this, they got life on this other planet, and we want some of you brave soldiers to go here, and you start to see too, it was showing the vibes of how the government claims to be wanting to do one thing, but they also testing the shit out of some other shit, because it was like, y'all gonna need this immune. Basically made it seem like it was just a vaccine that you take to go to this planet, you know what I'm saying? Like, to kind of, now, granted that, we're going to any planet, you would have a bodysuit, so why would you need to take this, these vaccines? But these vaccines happen to be something that was changing them to a whole different, being or animal to a certain extent, like, and they told these people that, again, they was going to this planet Titan, and oh, we just gotta give you these vaccines. So showing too how they slip these projects on soldiers, where America takes advantage of that patriotic vibe that they socially engineer into most people. I not say most people, that over patriotic vibe that they socially engineer to a lot of people in America. They was displaying how how that vibe could also line people up with being used in in the government's projects, and stuff like that. Got Montauk Project, the Philadelphia Experiment, Vietnam War, fuck, that was started off a false flag, it was kind of like experiments in that sense. But again, he made it seem like, oh yeah, we going, like, what the aim was mostly about going out of space, And again, though, another thing too with the beginning of the movie, everything was about the population. We are running out of resources, like we can't sustain all the life with well, yes you can. All the rich people gotta do is start new farms and buy That's all they got to do is start helping the situation with their revenue, with their energy, with their money. But again, since they have a salary cap and they rather see the players, take the pay cut, the players take the pay cut. It's like resources are at an all-time limit, and in order to preserve and save life, we must. And again, showing how NASA could kick in to certain projects again, and like, oh, we going to space and this and that to search for planets. Again, create under the false pretense of that. We're out of resources and things are running out. We have too much people on this planet and we're not having enough resources. Harping on that, that vibe. So we need to go out of space. Interstellar, somewhat. Again, and you see the common blueprint. Across the board. Interstellar dealing with the space program, and then you go again and seeing a lot of videos dealing with space and NASA, because they're trying to reinforce that program and that there really was a moon landing. While the fact that they still don't discover the bottom depths of our oceans have not been discovered, but yet you went to the moon in the 70s. And technology is extremely well right now. You got Tesla shooting shit towards the sky and shit like that. Why are we not shooting shit towards the depths of the ocean? Why are we not showing, why there's not live footage of somebody traveling to Antarctica and going on every aspect of Antarctica? How could you leave this planet if you can't go to a certain area within this planet? That's simple common sense, that we should ask ourselves when we look at them telling us this bullshit. Why when they show us these planets and pictures of it looks like a CGI, like computer made image, Why is no real proof? All you gotta do is just show us, that'll shut us up. Just show us somebody waving on the moon, literally, and constant, go back to the moon, shit, the technology is way A1 compared to the 70s, go back to that motherfucker. If you did it with ease and it was, if that's what we was doing, and again, we got this, why not, again, looking into the depths of the ocean, why not fully seeing what Antarctica is about? Why are we not vibing in Antarctica? If you could create a technology that could make a rocket go out of space, then you could create a technology that would allow for you to survive in cold conditions, no matter how cold it is. Fuck, you go into space, that's so safe, very cold. How they depict it, on movies and stuff like that, where when you out there, it's liquid ice, you freeze up, it's supposedly so cold. You going out there, then why you can't go to the cold areas on this planet? As above, so below. When we doing our spiritual work, I'm discovering myself. There's parts inside of this vessel that I have yet to discover, and yet to tap into, information I haven't uncovered within this vessel, let alone constantly trying to go outside my vessel, thinking that the real answers are more outside of me. No, the answers are inside. That's another reason why somebody brought up how that's another reason why they don't want you to know how the earth is quote unquote shaped, or how our plane of existence is really how it really is in essence, because that would also give knowledge to like Nikola Tesla energy and how it works, because something with the design of our, this quote unquote matrix or plane of existence, with the way it's made, it has a certain, shape and certain technology that if you saw how it was, how it was, you would be able to put two and two together on how certain things operate without energy. Or should I say, not say without energy, but more so with free energy without no connections and stuff like that. How to basically advance the the technologies that Nikola Tesla brought down through his inner gnosis. But which just wasn't no super spoiler alert on the Titan, because I wasn't gonna it's not no necessarily movie breakdown, but just again kind of with the population control. Speaking of Titan, the movie, using the name Titan, speaking of population control. And then you got Infinity Wars, with Marvel Comics, who Thanos is kind of like a Titan, almost like Kronos. Kronos is the Titan, the father of Zeus, Saturn, father time. So you see that correlation in the Infinity Wars as well. The Infinity Wars is about, what's the name? Thanos snapping his finger with that Infinity Gauntlet and wiping out half the population, in that near solar system for the sake of saving the universe, And like that's what, again, they're trying to program that vibe into people and, have people like, oh yeah, I kind of feel Thanos vibe of like, because to a certain extent they made Thanos make sense in certain areas. Again, they gonna give you certain truths, just like fishing. I got a real worm on the hook, so that is true. That's a real worm, but it's still a hook under that worm. So as you looking like, oh shit, I feel that, I fucks with that. Yeah, come on here, the subconscious level, he done reeled you in, again, like they made Thanos' character make some sense in a lot of areas, but at the end of the day, he was mainly pushing, that undertone of population control and depopulating the world, and again, you look at it, it's in the movies, they fucking speak on it in everybody's face on the Georgia Stones, like it's fucking in everybody's face, on so many levels on what they're trying to do. Fucking JFK speaks on, speak on secret societies and all that. Then, next thing you know, that brethren get transition. Abraham Lincoln spoke on, these secret societies and how they move. And then he got, matter of fact, and Abraham Lincoln was said to deal with a melanated brother named, can't recall. In fact, I got this from Bobby Hemming spoke on this. H.P. Randolph, if I'm not mistaken. H.P. Randolph, because matter of fact, because too, and the reason why I'm wondering if it is correct, because it's also tied to H.P. Blavatsky, and I'm wondering if I have to research for sure, because again, I'm just sharing this with you while I'm on the fly and I'm thinking about it, why it came up. But Abraham Lincoln had a melanated brother, I think probably a Moorish brethren, working with him and speaking with him on these esoteric, deeper, occult concepts, so to speak. And that brethren, the Randolph brethren, was actually who kind of taught had H.P. Blavatsky, Helen P. Blavatsky, learn under his tutelage, in so many words. But that's a situation, another for another video. Again, that Titan played on, again, that dedicated soldier vibe. And again, what's funny, they kind of show you the truths within it, because they showing you, like, well, one brethren was like, because another thing too, they were trying to, all right, again, this over scientific European mind frame of not connecting to spirit, that's another thing too. We could spiritually, shape shift and, connect with all these different dimensions. You start to see again where it's like, all right, it is a spiritual warfare, because here it is, you creating all these lower vibrational things like 5G internet and rockets to go out of space and this and that, when that is not needed. We have a pineal gland that allows for us to tap into all these energies, but you know, some people are not able to open the pineal gland and tap into these energies. You know, it's becoming more and more obvious that the way they're trying to create all this artificial shit. You know, just anybody who's just overly, you know, producing artificial shit as if, you know, we don't have a pineal gland that activates and that could connect us to all these different realms. You know, that person is working with that agenda, you know, that transhumanism. You know, and again, and also Titan spoke to that super soldier vibe, you know, with X-Files been trying to, like, you know, speak on, you know, like where the army creating these, you know, super soldiers, you know, doing these experiments, you know. And I spoke to that, like, I was like, you know, that's probably too where you probably get like some of these, you know, Bigfoots and stuff like that. And as above, so below, you know, they only mimicking, you know, us in essence, the God, the Titans, the old Chrono, you know what I'm saying? The melanated beings who, and I say melanated because let's just say carbon, because we're using this word as 3D words, melanin and carbon, you know. These beings with this certain connection to the universe are these beings that are a direct extension from the primordial mother energy. You know, we came down here on some, you know, like basically creating humans, but then coming into a bodysuit and interacting, you know, on this level. You know, yeah, that's also that vibe as well, which I forgot what I was speaking on with that, but again, I'm speaking on population control, super soldiers. Well, back to the super soldiers again. They was you know, promoting this vibe of you know, like again, like, oh, and that was another thing too. The brethren was like, one of the little soldiers again called out the brethren on his mad scientist vibe. He's like, so you're basically trying to forcefully, you know, evolve. Like, you know, you're basically trying to indirectly be like some mad God scientist type of vibe. Like, you just, you know. And he was like, for the sake of the people, this must happen. Like, and you constantly got shown how that brethren was like on that insane vibe and like that cold vibe of just like not giving a fuck. And I spoke to that in the beginning of my video, the Truman Show. I think it's a Truman Show video. Where I also speak on the silent war. Whichever video I did on the silent war, and I speak on how again how they you know, create this silent warfare against us through the movies, through, you know, certain propaganda, you know, that they push, you know, where basically you don't know that a war is going on against you, you know. So say for instance like the 5G internet, you know, is actually a weapon against you, but you know it's used in the face of, oh, this is a luxury, you know. Again, they're trying to create an aspect. Misery loves company, so they want everybody to be tied down to this physical matrix. So they're trying to create, like, you know, the physical matrix into like an amusement park / concentration camp, like a amusement park that you are trapped in. Like, well, you seem like you have freedom, but you can't leave this motherfucker, or question why you trapped in it, you know. So as much as you like, oh yeah, we could do this, we could do that, but why we can't? Why they standing by that gate with them guns? why? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I got myself. But wait, what the people doing with them tanks and all that? You know. But again, it's creating a certain type of situation to, you know, again, like from all the Disney movies that I always bring up Kubo, you know. Well, you know, check out my video I did on speaking on Kubo. But trying to scare you from your God self, and oh, I love my humanity, I love being in this matrix, you know. And again, that's where situations start to be like that speak for yourself vibe, as far as like how, you know, some people try to lump everybody into that we come from Neanderthal vibe. You know, and it's like, no, not everybody on this planet come from Neanderthal. You know? They want to do your research, you know, and again, and so they promote that in science, and then all that is in cahoots with the people who own other companies and the movies and stuff like that. So with Disney and all these different movies, again trying to trying to program the kid's mind frame or subconscious to be tied down to their humanity. But again, this salary cap, like, we're out of resources. We can't do more than that, And here it is on the movie Titan. They turned that brethren. There was more than one person, and some of them started dying and shit like that. And basically, like, it showed you too. Well, like, they got these inner, where they could have these inner beefs within the government circles, because it's like, it's a bunch of gangsters, It's not just one form of gangsterism. Some of them want to do things like this. Somebody want to do things like that, Like, the Third Reich with the Germans wanted to do things like this, while certain Ashkenazi Jews, which some of those Germans were Ashkenazi Jews secretly. But anyway, you got the certain, Queen Elizabeth and England or this and that want to do things like this, while the Rothschild family and such and such want to do things like this, while Rockefeller want to do things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's possible for them to beef amongst themselves, which we kind of seeing right now. That's why I tell people, don't get caught into the hype of that. They're like so much in control. Like, they beefing against each other. They done ran out of bullets and they trying to throw the gun. That's why they constantly feel. That's why Donald Trump is the president, so he could. It's like, all right, we just gotta troll people. Because if they had a regular president that would just, be doing regular things and, I'm president. Just like, say for instance, like any type of other president, like I just, do, how like C-SPAN, like just boring talking stuff, the regular jargon to make y'all not be interested in us passing these laws, but they got a troll in there, because they want your attention. They know that everybody is waking up on a high, to their higher consciousness, but they also know that, that they, have that chance to, pull people concentration, because they also know that, with melanin, is like a genie, so if they could get us to focus on what they dealing with, it'll activate what they're dealing with even more. Go check out my videos where I speak on, like, with the Atlantis story and the fairies and like dealing with the energy of like with Pokemon, like where some of us with this magical connection with the universe are being used as like Pokemon or fairies or genies, the jinn, like you think about the jinn. I did a video on that. It was a little the anime cartoon on Netflix. Again, point to to a certain extent indirectly to that primordial mother energy or that darkness, because the Ajin were people who were like indirectly immortal, and they had like this Ajin, this dark energy within them. It was like this dark God particle, and each Ajin could have like this, almost like a astral body made out of dark matter, that could go and do things for them. You know what I'm saying? But there's no coincidence. Again, all this pointing to the darkness and trying to make the darkness evil as well, But again, just the awareness of this bullshit. We're trying to make everything seem like, like, oh, we have to depopulate the world. There aren't enough resources. Motherfucker, you got technology to go to space and all this. You melt some ice in Antarctica and grow some shit, motherfucker. If you could do all that other outer space shit, makes sense. Like, Why I try to go away somewhere else? What I could do right here? Why the sun always shining? Why the sun always shining on our planet? So like it goes around the world. So when it's daylight in one area, it's dark in another, but that daylight still, like the sun is always shining on the earth, so to speak. Because if it's not daytime right here, it's daytime somewhere else. So I mean the sun is always shining, and the sun big as fuck. Why do we have daytime on this planet? Where the sun is shining. Because when we don't see the sun, there's not any sunlight. The sky is dark. But when the sun comes up, the sky is lit up. Well, why when these astronauts went into space, or when they show space, why it's not lit up? Because the sun is out there. When you leave from the planet, you can see the sun and everything. You can see all the different stars. Why things aren't lit up? How it's lit up on here. And I brought up how they may have some pseudoscience for that, as far as like, but that would kind of point to them telling the truth about us, probably having like some type of firmament or being in some type of dome, where it's like the sunlight is magnified through this dome or this atmosphere that concentrates the light, whatever. So that's basically it. Definitely go check out. If you well, it was an alright movie. I ain't gonna say definitely check it out. I caught myself. In matter of fact, watching it just seemed like a quick vibe for them to throw out a little truth while trying to, subconsciously program everybody into this being in favor of like, revamping this, just going out of space to test shit, and also, creating that vibe of like the super soldier, like we want to create the super soldier vibe. But then again, everything went wrong in the movie, so it's like it's a balance of, they were, it was programming in the movie, but you definitely, and again, maybe that's me looking at it with a, an open eye, Well, I mean, to a certain extent, I looked at it, I'm like, well, shit, they kind of made that shit look bad. Like, if I was a soldier, like, I wouldn't want to be in the army, after watching that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, compared to, like, in essence, where they do these things to kind of pull you into their propaganda and to recruit you. Like, there's a lot of points in that movie where it really was like, well, shit, it's more exposing, in a way that would be harmful to them than helpful. But, but again, the subconscious, again, that with me, why I feel like that's probably just more so me watching it. It may have some, not may, I know it has subtle programmings in it, but again, it just, and I guess too, that obvious vibe of it seeming like, things are going astray. But again, they still pushing subtly, certain little images, certain little, phrases and things they're talking about is subtly being pushed within the movie, so you do have that aspect. But, that's basically it. Just not being fooled by this whole situation. Awareness. Do what we gotta do. Taking care of our inner universe, Matter of fact, I always speak to that, the reason why this government and politicians or all this exists, to a certain extent, because it's the collective having a certain vibration within them that's kind of like over here and over here, Republicans and Democrats. It's your, like, matter of fact, like the President Phil Valentine said recently, like it's your own House of Senate and Congress within you kind of, battling out, so it turns into some people, that's like the Congress and the Senate outside of your body, what I'm saying, that's trying to govern you. When we get sovereignty over our soul, when we get fully connected with our soul more, the more and more we do that, the more and more the external conditions will change. That's not that turn the other cheek and just meditate vibe. But again, the inner work is what, is what manifests the outer work. The inner work is what, what turns into the outside situation, external situation. So it would only make sense to start within, create, being the change I want to see. Vibrating on the frequency that, I would like to add to the collective consciousness.